Joining us.
All
We're
right.
going to go ahead. Let's go ahead and get started.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone for joining. My name is Nanya Wokedi for anyone who doesn't know me in person or in real life. I go by Nanya, and I have had this on my mind, on my heart to like have a session. I feel like a lot of times people do like the DM me or join this training for whatever. And most times they want to sell you something. It's not that easy to find a space where you can talk about things that are beneficial, but there isn't like a catch. V has
Mhm.
been doing that. She has like a great community that she's building, and she's helped me a lot personally. But just wanted to talk to people I know, women in particular, especially women who are professionals, on what can we do to help elevate our finances, to help give ourselves more options and opportunities because money is very powerful. Money gives you options. Money gives you the sense of security in an economy that we have layoffs, we have a government shutdown, we have the rise of AI taking people's jobs. You have all kinds of things going on. And as we get older, we may start to feel like our options even get more limited. You have limited time to save for retirement, you have limited time to find or change your career. But I want us to focus on what we can control, right? To have the confidence to make choices that benefit us, that help us feel like we're in the driver's seat versus allowing things to just happen. And I figured a good way to start is just even sharing my own personal experience. So, money, when I say money is powerful, in my life it has been. I remember if I start from my early adult career in college, I finished my degree in 3 years because of the cost. I was like, oh, this is a lot of money. And so I pushed, it motivated me to like aggressively finish my degree. And then I got in the job force and realized, one, as an immigrant, I couldn't actually get sponsored with the field of study I did. I did marketing, and there were lots of companies that wanted to recruit me, but when I would interview and tell them I needed a work visa, they were like, no, because there's a lot of people that can do the job. There's a lot of sales people. Like marketing is like one of those fields that's not super technical and hard to get into. And so I ended up doing a master's in finance. And what enabled me to do that was also money. I got a full scholarship to Notre Dame to do that degree. And that sort of helped me, one, with getting eventually my citizenship, which was a very long journey. But secondly, it helped, like I went from not earning money. I had worked on campus before, but then I got in, a proper big girl job and I moved to New York City and it was like a lot of money at the time. But then with that came a lot of access to credit. I think my very first credit card had a $50,000 limit, which is
Wow.
crazy. And this is back in like 2000 and early 2000s. But then it also explains why we got to 2008 and we had that whole collapse because I got access to a lot of credit. And imagine coming again as an immigrant, I didn't have access to any of that. And then suddenly all these offers were coming. So I've also made my very fair share of mistakes. Credit card debt is one of them. Um, Also, things that were not within my control. So, like getting laid off and not adjusting my budget because that part is, and just having like bad habits around finances and discipline. So, I would say that one thing that really changed me or helped me was to realize that it's not, even though it's the norm in the US to live off of credit, it's not the only path. There's a lot of other things that you can do. You can keep your expenses low, you can save, you can um, build, I think Dave Ramsey says, live like no one else so you can live like no one else or something like that. But basically, you can make choices for yourself now so that you have the freedom to not be changed to a 9 to 5. I've also had some really horrible jobs, but then I couldn't leave and you're miserable just because, well, you have to pay all your bills. The most recent thing that really like highlighted this for me was in 2023, I was laid off for about 6 months. I had two mortgages. I had a lot of bills to pay. And so that set me back a lot. But going back to the debt-free like journey, I learned about Dave Ramsey and the debt-free community. And I found, there's a community of people who are like-minded in terms of trying to pay down debt and live a lifestyle where they could make choices different. And so that's one of the things that inspired me to have this session is sharing that knowledge, learning from other people, and just kind of inspiring all of us to find ways to make what we want happen. Um, Specifically, the co-hosts are Vanessa and I mentioned Raya. Vanessa, I found through Instagram, and she had put out a call of like, who wants to have a budgeting session? Something like that, very basic. And I signed up. And at first, I was a little bit nervous because the Nigerian in me is like, am I giving all my information to someone who's going to like, hack me? But no, she was legit. We talked through my budget. She's very no nonsense, but also non-judgmental, like just direct to the point of like giving good advice on things. And one of the things that she advised me at the time, because I had issues with the IRS, not issues per se, but like I had debt with the IRS, and I was like burying my head in the sand. And she was like, nah, just do it. Like get someone to help you. She even gave me a referral to someone, but they couldn't help me at the point in time. And so I had also, as one of my side hustles, started doing hair locks, specifically sister locks, which is kind of what I have. And I met Raya through that process and found out that she's a CFO. She has a 9 to 5 job and she does taxes seasonally. So for me, having that side income or other streams of income has been very beneficial. It doesn't have to be a side gig or a job, depending on what you're able to do. It could be as simple as finding more ways to save. It could be leveraging assets that you have, maybe the potential to have an investment property, which I've done at a point in time, and that also helped me a lot. Because I definitely got when I sold, I definitely made money in that process and I was able to pay down some debt. But in general, just want to encourage everybody to think about what we can do and realize that the little changes that we make actually make an impact. So, like I said, we're all going to talk about different things, but I wanted to just give that introduction to why I wanted us to have this session and inspire everybody to sort of think about what can you do. One of the other side jobs that I have is teaching. I teach classes on a contract basis around different topics such as project management, which is what I do in my 9 to 5 job, and then Lean Six Sigma. And it's not a ton of money because I can't even do it that frequently, but it has enabled me to build up a savings, which is something that I struggled to do it in the past. But now, just based on being able to put that into a separate account and use that money as like a little bit of a buffer, it has helped me, and it's something that I enjoy doing. So I would also want us to think about what are things that you already do or you already know that you can leverage as an opportunity to make money. Because again, that's something that I personally can say has helped me in terms of having a little bit of a more margin or emergency funds while I continue my journey of paying off debt and finding ways to invest in my future self and plan for the future. So on that note, Raya, are you good for me to pass it over to you? I would just let her talk. Like I said, she's a finance expert, but also she does taxes seasonally, so she's very familiar. And I just wanted her to talk a little bit about maybe some of the things that she's seen. She's also like really smart and savvy with her investments.
Well, thank you so much for the for your kind introduction. Yes, my name is Omolabake Badamosi, and I go by Rayo, and I've I'm an accountant. I'm a CPA, and I'm a CPA here in the US. I have my ACCA, so that makes me kind of like a CPA internationally as well. So I'm very vast in GAAP, IFRS, rules, and all of that. Currently at my main job, I am a CFO. And Yes, yesterday I had a great day. I got a CFO of the Year award by Dayton Business Journal. So yes, so that was very big. And then like she said, I also do taxes with Intuit TurboTax during seasonal period because hey, I cannot save money to side also and making more money, right? So it's kind of like my passion. I like making money, I like talking about money, and I like assisting people about money. I could talk about money all day in my sleep, all day. I love talking about money. And when she asked that I come on to talk, I said, well, anyways, um, I'm true because I know this is like the very first call, just going to kind of like talk about kind of the things that have helped me and how I got here, and the things that the strategies that I've adopted over the years that help me to kind of make smart choices when it comes to money. And one thing that I've learned is you don't have to go to school for money to know how to keep your money, or you don't have to be really vast in anything. It's just simple things that you need to learn, and most of it is your behavior and your mindset when it comes to money. And honestly, I think as humans, we used to thinking that we need to be making a whole lot of money to have a lot of money, and that's not true. And most of it is mostly fixing our behavior. And we all have habits, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just how powerful are your habits compared to your future. And one thing I learned is every debt, every liability that you have is somebody else taking a piece of your future. What that means is every time you're in that, when you start racking up that credit card debt, and you're paying that minimum fee, and you cannot save, and you cannot keep any for yourself, that's part of your future, something that you should have set aside for your future that somebody else is taking away from you, and they're keeping for themselves, and that's what you're doing, that's what you're giving away. And I learned that savings is, you should treat savings as an expense. The same way you set aside something for your mortgage every month, your hold on, I'm gonna try to get off this call so they think I got disconnected, and then I'll try to come back in case if they call me. I'm sorry. But one thing that I've learned is, like I said, I treat savings as an expense. And what I do is, every month, what I've always done is the same way that I have what you set aside for your mortgage, for your car note, for everything that you have, that it's a need, not a want, that you have to pay. I kind of have a set amount that I also set aside for as for my savings that I have to put into an account. And I do that because it's non-negotiable for me. So I try to make sure that that goes in every month, is non-negotiable. Because what happened to me, and I did that for straight, I believe about 10 years, where I kept putting money in this account and I never touched it. And then, life happens, right? And I had a situation where I had to take care of something for my mom, and it was like I had to come up with this down payment. And instead of me stressing over, oh my God, where am I going to get the money from? What I had things that I already set aside. And it was so easy for me to just go in and just pull out of that. And that's what the market will do for you. That's the power of time and compounding, right? Where it's not a lot, even if it's just $100 a month that you set aside every month, and you do that consistently for what, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, unbelievably, setting aside $100 every month for 40 years at what, 5% compounding and all of that can get you $1 million in 40 years. That's the power of compounding, and that's $100 that you can probably do without if you know how to manage your money. We get little things like Starbucks and all of those things, $5, $10, that we don't pay attention to every day. But I'm not saying give up your stuff. Please don't do that, because you still need to do that. But there's some things that we do this that we can actually just set aside and just take that away from it. When it comes to taxes, my biggest thing is your 401k. Are you enrolled in your 401k at work? That match, a lot of people put money on the table and don't take advantage of that. That's extra 5% or whatever percent that you're able to do. If it's 1, 2, 3, 4% that you're able to do, that's something that your company will be matching for free, that you are leaving on the table, that you should be taking advantage of. And that's something that grows over time. And it feels so good. Like I feel good when I log into my accounts and I see what's in there. I'm like, oh Lord, thank God. That's something less that I have to worry about. That's me. I don't know about anybody else, but for me, that's it. And something else I also learned is, most happiness, how do we measure happiness, right? Happiness is the gap between our expectations and our realities. If you expect that, oh my God, I should be a millionaire by now, and you're not, yeah, that's the expectations that you set on yourself. But your reality is different, right? Even if it's your love life or whatever, you expect this man to love me so much and give me the world. But that's your expectation. What's the reality of it? So at the end of the day, we got control over some things. It's not all taken away from us. We can still control some things. And these are the reasons why we have these talks on how what we do, and it's not because I went to school for it or because I have things on my wall to show that I can talk about it. But there are simple things that we already know that we just need to be intentional about and make sure that we do. Like Naya was saying, when we met and we started talking and all of that, and and sometimes like when I have this tough love thing going on when I talk to people about their money and everything, and I do that because sometimes we need it. So when I have people like my friends or people that I know, and if you ask me, if you let me, you won't like me at that moment, but we'll become best of friends after, when everything, because the last thing you want to do is stress about money. There's so many things that you're already stressing about. You have kids, you have the husband, you have dad, you have the boyfriend. I mean, that's already enough. There's some things that you cannot control, but the things that you can have a little bit of control over, you really want to try to do, you know. But again, I just wanted to just touch on it, and I'm here if you have questions on anything. Like I said, I'm a CPA. I currently on my journey to get my CFA so I can be smart like those guys on Wall Street, and give more investment advice and all of that. But I'm here, and I'm going to turn it on to V so she can also um,
Before you
share
before
some
you
of
do
the
that, yeah, before
knowledge.
you do that, let me just jump in real quick. Like you said, the tough love, but also like the passion and just really surrounding yourself with like-minded people. I mentioned earlier, we met through her trying to get her hair done. And so we were in the same space together and we just started talking. That's how we got to know what our interests were and what she did and her knowledge. And even on that very first day we met, I think we talked about 401ks and investments and she showed me some things and I was like, "Ooh, wow, okay, well done," right? And I'll also add like Raya has not been, she's obviously very experienced, but like she moved to the US, I don't know how long ago, not that long, not like 20, 30 years ago, right? It's not that long yet. But she's made great strides, again, just being very intentional in the choices that she's made. And then when we talked about taxes, she was that tough love person. Because part of why I had issues with my taxes was because I took out money from my 401k. She was like, never, ever will you do that again. And every time I ever would think about doing it, her voice comes in my head. So again, I do think one is being intentional, having a vision, and that's another thing that V has talked about with me is having a big picture, having goals. And everybody's different. Like where I said, we're not going to tell you cut out coffee or whatever it is that's your little pleasure of the day, but everybody has what is important to them. The key thing is that we're intentional in directing our money to things that are valuable for us, not things that we're going to enjoy today, forget about tomorrow, or just things that you think you should do because it's the norm and it's actually not, necessary and it's not helping your goals. So thank you very much. Um,
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate it. And you can, like I said, you can just tell that she's really passionate. If you want to reach out to her, Rhea, can you put your contact information? Because like I said,
Hmm.
really
Yeah.
good when it comes to taxes and just finances in general. And then I'll introduce Vanessa real quick. As I mentioned, I reached out to her firstly for budgeting advice. And she is really good at like teaching and coaching people around that area, but just around finances as a whole. And the people that I invited are people that I believe have done the things that they're talking about. I'm not saying that you have to be perfect to be able to give advice, because I'm certainly not. I have a long way to go. But they also are just making it very realistic that like Raya said, you don't have to be born into money or come into like a windfall to be able to make good decisions and get results. They've done the work progressively and they've shown that they can, like, it works, like what they're doing and the decisions that they make have paid off. So again, I'm going to pass it over to Vanessa and she'll just share a little bit about her expertise. And also, she has a community that she's been building. I'm part of that. I think we're in the second week or third week of a 4-week training, so she can talk a little bit about that as well. But passing it over to you, and thank you again, both of you, for doing this with me.
Yep. Thank you so much, Nanya, for inviting me today. I can see why you have the three of us together because we're all on the same page. All right, I'm gonna present and I want to make sure that everybody can actually see what I'm presenting. So I'm gonna get that started first before I get yapping and then I don't realize that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can get this going. All right. Okay. How does it look? Nanya, good? Okay, perfect. Okay, so thank you so much, ladies. I just wanted to briefly introduce myself. Nanya and I met a couple years ago, and I wrote a book that's here on the screen, Your Meanest Best Friend's Guide to Personal Finance. And I honestly just did it as a passion project. It was just something that I really felt called to do. Never had an intention of like selling a million books, but I just figured if I could help a couple of women, then that would be amazing. So that's basically how I got started in this space. And so for today, since we're a group of 9 to 5 ladies who are also entrepreneurs, who are all busy boss babes, I figured it would be a good idea to talk about things that impact our future. Because sometimes we catch ourselves thinking, hey, my future self is going to figure that out, but she deserves so much better, and so do we. So I want to talk a little bit about this UCLA study that was done, and it shows that when we really connect with our future selves, we make smarter and bolder money moves. So let's kick things off with this idea of, don't let your future self surprise you. All right. So basically, we're mostly all 9 to 5 employees, and a lot of us are entrepreneurs, or we have side gigs or side hustles. So our days are full. We have a day-to-day job. We probably have families, homes, pets, but our future self is really depending on ourselves to make really good decisions today. And we can never control what's going to happen tomorrow, and nobody can escape the passage of time. Like we're all going to get older at some point, even though we may not believe it. It's coming for us, so we have to prepare. So, oh, I'm sorry, just went to the wrong thing, clicked on the wrong thing. All right, sorry. I'm not used to using Canva for this, so I popped ahead. Let's try again. Okay. So this is the right screen. So why busy women entrepreneurs must plan their future. So we're most likely leading in our jobs and in our homes. And most of the times we're in survival mode, right? From the moment we wake up in the morning to the moment we close our eyes at night, it's go, 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 go. But women are statistically going to make less money. We're going to take less risks, and we're going to live longer than men. And even if we're partnered with someone today, it's very likely that we're going to end our final years alone. So we have to really prioritize planning for our future. So this UCLA study shows us that they did some MRI scans on the brain, and it really revealed that our brains see our future self like strangers. So essentially, they asked the people to think about themselves, think about a stranger, and then think about their future selves. And basically, their brains saw their future self and a stranger in the same exact way. So that emotional disconnect means that we're likely to treat our future selves a lot less kindly because we just don't believe that that person is coming. Right. So the stronger that we have that connection to her, our future self, the smarter the decisions we're going to make today. So the struggle, right? We all struggle every single day, and it's really hard to plan ahead when you're in survival mode every single day. And then we have what we call present bias. So we're prioritizing, the majority of us prioritize comfort today over future benefits. It's a lot easier to think, oh, I just want this or I just want that. I want that vacation. I want that thing, as opposed to thinking about what I may want in my future years. We also have an optimism bias, which always lets us think and believe that there's going to be more time later. And then that emotional distance, that future for us feels unreal. It doesn't feel like it's going to happen. So if you think back to like your 17-year-old self, could your 17-year-old self have imagined your 25-year-old self, your 30-year-old self, your 35-year-old self? You can't. It's almost impossible to even believe you're going to be that old one day. The same way for us in our 30s and 40s, can't imagine ourselves in our 50s and our 60s. So if we keep in that day-to-day mode with our business, our job, our families, our households, we really don't have any time to plan. So basically, the study showed that those who saw aged digital images of themselves saved 60% more for retirement. So people with higher future self continuity or a person that can actually envision their older self accumulated more financial assets. And that connection between themselves and their future self, it created a bigger motivation to invest and plan. So we have to take time to visualize our future self because that was going to help us boost our savings and our investing habits. So, how do we get to know our future self? So, the more vividly we can imagine our future self, the more we're going to care. So, try to picture yourself in 10 to 20 years. What are you going to be doing? Where are you? How old are your kids going to be at that point? A lot of them may have already graduated from high school. Maybe by then our house is paid off. Um, so, try writing a letter from your future self to present you. What would you like to think that that person is going to be able to say to you? Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a letter. It could just be things that you think about that you want for your future. And think about what your 60-year-old self would thank you for today. What decisions could we make today that our future self would thank us for? So it's really important to start doing this today as soon as possible because every year that passes, it reduces compounding interest and compounding growth. Like Ryo was saying, compound interest, they call it one of the wonders of the world because little by little, when you keep adding it up together, it becomes something huge down the road. I remember when I rolled over an IRA from my old job in my 20s. I kind of stuck it in an IRA and I didn't even look at it for years. And then when I happened to look at it again, it had doubled. I did nothing. And I was like, oh, wow, if it doubled and I didn't even look at it, can you imagine if I was paying attention? So we want to make decisions now with our future self in mind, and we want to make intentional decisions and take those steps to help build our freedom. And every day that we delay, it's going to cost us a lot more than we think. So basically, the framework is the same for everyone, right? We all start from the foundation of budgeting and tracking. So if you're not budgeting and you're not tracking your expenses, that's step one. Then at that point, you want to pay off debt because debt robs you of your future, like Nanya was saying. And then eventually have a nice, decent emergency fund, a good savings account, where if something bad happens, all we're doing is drawing from that fund and we're not even stressing about it. Once we have a really good emergency fund, we can start investing a lot more heavily. And I think in this group, we have a lot of entrepreneurs. So building income producing assets is usually something that's not on people's list. But I think in this group of ladies, it's big. So a lot of us are jumping, right, up to that step where we're building assets, but we haven't gone back to do the foundation. So while we're building these assets, we need to make sure that we're still following the framework so that that thing that we're building actually can produce money for our future instead of paying for our past. And then obviously when you get to that peak, we're just monitoring, checking that net worth once a week and just watching the money grow and enjoying it. That's the point we all want to get to. So a lot of us work a lot of hours. So I would venture to guess that most of the ladies on this call work more than their 40 hours a week. You're doing your side hustles, you have a side business, you have a real estate. So if we're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, how much time are you spending to manage that money? A lot of times we make excuses, right? Oh, I don't have time, but you have to make the time. If you're going to work that hard to make money, you have to spend at least 30 minutes to an hour every week to manage that money. You have to put the work in now. So for our entrepreneur ladies, we have to separate that personal salary from our business income and the household budget. We have to separate those lanes and not intermix them because that's when it gets confusing. As much as possible, we should automate our savings, just the way that Raya was talking about. She makes her savings a bill. I do the same exact thing about that in my budget. My savings is a bill. So if you're able to set aside a specific amount that you know is good for every paycheck, schedule that automatic transfer. And then at least once a month, we want to look through our cash flow. You want to look through your profits, want to see how much you're actually saving. You have to do the the assessment of where your money's going. And everything that we do today is basically a gift to your future self. So, some action steps that we could take, right? So, we have to start planning for our future. Just take some time to figure out what that future is for you for the next 10 or 20 years. I like to call it the dream exercise. So, if you're single or if you're partnered, you sit down and just think about what will your dream life look like? What would it where would you live? What job would you have, or would you not even be working? What would your day-to-day life look like? You know, you have to really sit down and dream about what you want it to look like and connect with that so that you can start building for that today. And then every day, day to day, we have to track our cash flow, like we were talking about automating our savings and investing, and then scheduling that time to do that future planning and making sure that we're on track. All right, so we basically want to take our future self and remove stranger status and make our future self our teammate. So when we save, plan, and invest, right, we're taking care of our today selves and we're also taking care of our future selves. And all these good decisions that we make today are only going to make us feel stronger, safer, and freer. And I think as women, we all like to feel secure. I think that's our main goal is especially for ourselves or if we have children, that security is huge for us. We don't want to be stressing out every single day. We have enough on our plate. So if we're taking care of our finances, it's going to make us feel so much less stress on a day-to-day basis. And those will be acts of kindness for our future self. So the quote at the bottom says, do something today that your future self will thank you for. Now's the time. If we're not already doing it, we have to prioritize it. So I'm here to help, right? So your future starts now. You have to plan, you have to save, you have to invest. If you're feeling like you're struggling and you can't do it on your own, just the same way I sat down with Nanya, I offer free 30-minute goal setting sessions and you can schedule it on Calendly. I have a book that we already talked about that's on Amazon that you can order. It's awesome for the young people in your life, especially if they're getting their first big girl job. You can read it in less than an hour. And it's really like a shortcut guide to what do I do without having to read a bunch of fluff. And I have a blog at yourmeanestbff.com. So there's a bunch of free articles there. We also have a free community on school, which the QR code for school is there too, and my Instagram community at yourmeanestbff. So I have tons of free options for you wherever I can help you. And hopefully, Nanya, this won't be our last event.
Yeah, thank you so much. Great content, like I said. Um, Even though, she's all professional, she's very straightforward when you meet with her. She'll give it a real tea. I have talked to her about all kinds of things, including relationships, and she's
I will
just
tell
like,
you to break
girl,
up
what
with
are
your
you
man.
doing? She was like, that's not the person for you. Straight up. So that's when she says your meanest BFF, she
For a
pulls no
reason.
punches, but it's with love and it's in your best interest. And Raya is the same thing because we've also had some of those conversations. So again, thank you both for sharing. The goal again is really just to encourage everyone that we have control. We can do things. There are a lot of things we can't control, but we are in control of our decisions. I know I have a long way to go to get to my goal, but I also want to make sure that I'm sharing that knowledge what I do know, what I have learned. And again, even just the people that have taught me some of those things. I know we have a little bit of time left because we booked an hour, but did anyone have any questions or feedback before we wrap up? Okay, I don't see anything.
Question. You had said when you initially talked to Raya, she gave you some tips with the 401k and stuff. Could we share those tips? I know it's such a long time ago, but
Yeah,
it's something
I don't
that we think we're
remember.
doing and we're not doing yet.
I don't remember right now. Raya, do you have anything? If she has
Yes,
anything current
yes,
to
I
share.
do. Yes,
Okay,
and
let's
I
go.
was trying to unmute myself so I could say one or two things because I know that we talk about these things, and some of us we really know these things, but we don't know how to go about them, right? So one thing that I always tell people is one of the things that the key thing when you're trying to save and find when it comes to finances. Hold on one second. Now, I'm on a Zoom call. Do you need something? What? Okay. Okay. Come here. Here. I'm sorry. So she just here, come. So say hi.
Hello.
She's one of the ladies here. She's a CEO, a big powerhouse, and we support. And she just gave me a gift. I'm so
Wow, that's
excited.
fancy.
I know, right? Look at that. Anyways, so this is what I wanted to share. We don't know how to go about it. So one of the things that I say is always make sure that the first thing that you want to do is take advantage of that 401k. The reason why is because it's pre-tax, right? What it does is it's going to reduce your taxable income. If you're someone that you still have to pay taxes every year because you don't have like some, if you have kids and you have exemptions and all of that, and your AGI is still lower than what it should be and you don't have to pay taxes, fine. But if you still have to pay taxes, it's because and you're not maximizing your 401k. That's what you should try to start doing, because what happens is you have that pre-tax money that you're able to put into your 401k, you reduce your taxable income, and then it's growing in your 401k account. If you already max the annual for this year, I believe is 23,500. So if you can, as much as possible, try to go as high as you can on your 401k. That's the first thing that I would advise. If you're already at the max and you already have that, sometimes you don't qualify for. So another vehicle that you can use is the traditional IRA, where you have up to, I believe it's 6,500 or 7,000 this year that you're able to put into an account pre-tax for a traditional IRA. That's something else that you can also do to make sure that you're reducing that taxable income. That way, it's one of the things that they've put in place that can help you to do that. Now, other than those retirement accounts, because like I was telling Naya, what I say is as much as possible, do not touch your 401k. That's for your future. That's not for now. Don't act like it's there. Most of us get comfortable and we're like, oh, it's not a backup plan. It's for your future. It's not for the present. For the present, you have to have a different account that you do that for. I like M1. M1 is pretty easy, and I can share like links of how to do that. You have M1, you have Betterment, you have this all these platforms that you can do automatic investing. What you do is you set a certain amount of your paycheck, probably $100, $50, however, whatever amount, just be doing something. You set that, and then and I can help if you. I'll put my contact in there, and we can do Zoom calls, and I can assist on how to set all of that up. You set your portfolio out, however aggressive you want to be. If you want to be very aggressive, you want to be conservative. If you have time, if we're all young and we have time, we have a long time horizon or investment horizon, we can try to be more aggressive and really go in the large cap, small cap, multi-asset. We can do international and all of that. Most of those give you very good returns, right? So what you want to do is you want to set that up, and every time you put money in, it's going to invest that for you. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. Now, I get in the habit of, I have some accounts that when I talk, I like to show people. So I can show you, because sometimes that's what you need. Like I can tell you, look how much I made on this. And I show people that, and they're like, you made 20,000 from the market? Yes, I did. You know what I mean? So kind of like that, but I didn't do it today, or it's over time and it grows. And just like V was saying, that's the power of compounding, right? It's not just putting in a bank account. Yes, you can save if you're more comfortable with that. I'm not trying to say, but if you want the returns that you want to see, you want to do that in the stock market. And most people get scared about, oh my God, the stock market. Da, da, da. We are all in the stock market. If you have your 401k, it's in the stock market. If you're putting money in the bank, yeah, your money is in the bank, but the bank is putting in the market. That's how you have to get your money working for you. While you're sleeping, let your money be working for you. You want to invest in dividend stocks. There's so many things that you can invest in, that you have that money just rolling over. And every time you log in, you're smiling, because even what the market is doing what you're doing is you're averaging out. And when it's low, the market is going to buy low. And then when it goes high, and then you've made all this money. If you have Amazon stock, for instance, Amazon reported yesterday, and overnight they beat the market, they beat the analyst, and they beat the expectation and all that. And overnight, Amazon is up what, 12% right now. So if you have Amazon stock, you're up what, $29, $30 on one stock. So that's how and that continues to happen. It will go down, then it'll go back up. It will go down, and it'll come back up. But in the end, you will have made a lot of money. The S&P is one of the market indexes. That's what like the beta. That's what most people try to outperform. And right now, it's about what I think 15 to 20% if you've been investing in for like the last 10 years. Like you just imagine putting money in the market and just you have 20% return just from doing that. So really, like I said, that's what I want to encourage everyone when we're talking about savings and putting something aside. It's different from retirement. It's something different where something comes up, you have an emergency. That's your emergency fund. You want to always have something on the side where life happens, you can get to it. Because what you don't want is you don't want to be dealing with the emergency and also dealing with trying to find the money. But if you have the money, you can deal with the emergency and it's not as much stress on you. So, like I said, I will share my contact and I'll just tell you, I'm not gonna take money from anyone or anything like that. All I'm just gonna say is, this is how you do it. You log into this account. Just think about how much you can set aside, how much you're able to set aside, and you do that. And that's what you do. I have a lot of friends, like my friend that just came in now, she's the CEO of our company. She's doing very well. I always give this kind of advice, and it works. It's worked for me. It works for a lot of people that I know. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, it works.
Thank you. And to that point, again, these are two people that I trust. Like I said, as much as I encourage everyone, do research. And I'm not saying you shouldn't listen to people on the internet. Also, just make sure that their motives are not like question things just in general. Please do your
Yeah.
due diligence. Always make sure that first of all, you're doing your own, research before you do anything and question the motivation behind the person that's talking to you. Like clearly we're all here just driven by sharing knowledge, but if someone is trying to sell you something, I'm not saying they're completely wrong, but just ask more questions and make sure that it's valid. One question I have for either or anybody even really is around the topic of life insurance, because we're talking about saving for our future self. So this might be a very elementary question. Does life insurance help your future self? Is that a way to quote unquote prepare maybe Ryo, you might be a good person to talk about this. Is that something that is just like backup, or what would you say about it?
So I don't know, I'm Nigerian, right? I'm sorry. I'm about to say something. It's going to be very stupid. And even at the point that I've reached in life, I know that I still got to I have to. I don't like life insurance because it's like in my mind, it's like, oh my God, are you wishing for something? Like some people put life insurance on their kids. Oh, you have to kill me first before I do that on my kid. I'm just saying because that is not the way. But that's me, right? But it's not logical. The logical thing to do is to get it. You know what I mean? But I personally, I like to be authentic. I don't lie. I'll tell you the way it is. Now that's me. Like I said, I'm working on it. It's just not something that I'm comfortable doing now. But like my workplace, I have different life insurance, right? Because my workplace, as a key employee, they got one on me. And they also have another one for my family. God forbid something were to happen to me, right? Um, Maybe the husband got one on me. I don't know, kind of like that. I'm just
What
saying, who
about
knows?
what about trusts or saving for your children? Do you have anything? And again, this is a
I
personal.
do.
I appreciate you
I
being
do. No, of
honest.
course, I'm going to share that. So I do have like a 529 that I have for my kids. I have 4 kids. Every time I pop them out, I'm sorry, I can be very silly. Every time I pop them out, I set up something and out of my paycheck. That's it. It goes into that non-negotiable. It works and all of that. And there was this, and I don't even really like. I look at it, but it's not my account because it's for my kids. I don't. And one day I look, I was, oh my God, So that's something that I would encourage that you do for your kids. I would rather do that than do the life insurance for my kids, right? But for me, life insurance, I would do one for me, for my kids. Because the way that I think about it is something were to happen to me, 4 kids is a lot for anyone to take on, right? one thing I can do is to make sure that at least while they're upset that they have to take care of my kids, at least make it easy for them, right? So that they're not burdened by all of that, because it's a big burden to have 4 kids for to just have my sister or my mom have to, or whoever, take care of 4 kids. So one thing I want to make sure is that at least they have the money to be able to do that and make it easier. So I would encourage that you do life insurance. Like, it's good. Do the 529 education, do, whatever it is that you can, just to make it easier along the line for, in case if life happens.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Nanya. So for me, definitely life insurance is case by case. So if you don't have kids and you don't have anyone to leave this money to, then life insurance is a little less important. So you may want to just leave enough money for your final expenses, right? So people can bury you without doing a GoFundMe, right? But if you've like Rayo does, has a huge family and has 4 kids, like yeah, life insurance is really important and you want to make sure that your kids are set up. But the only thing is that you can get sold a lie when it comes to life insurance. I would know because I bought the lie. My tax
Mhm.
preparer convinced me to get this certain type of life insurance, which it would mature after 30 years, and supposedly I'd get all the money back. But all that money that I spent, like right now, if I wanted to cancel it, I wouldn't get it. So getting term life insurance for like 30 years, at the end of those 30 years you're done, is usually the right way to go. I would say if there's a different type of insurance that someone's trying to push on you, really do your research on that because they're trying to make money off of you. Every single month when you pay that, they're making money. So just be careful with that. And definitely if you have a home and if you have assets and you have children, you definitely need a will and a trust. And you definitely have to make sure you know where your assets are going to go and you have to actually move those assets into the trust. Like right now, my house is in our trust name. So that's something that you definitely want to do, especially when you have a family and kids. And I just wanted to highlight really quick that if anybody wants to join the Wealthy Woman Energy Workshop that I'm doing, actually this Monday is Investing 101. It's super basics on investing. We already did money mindset, which was amazing. We did basics of budgeting and knowing your numbers. And then this week is investing. So if you want to join, you can just drop your email address in the chat or you can DM me on Instagram and it's completely free. Everything's in school, all the recordings are there, so you can just listen to the recording, and each week has homework. So if you actually do the homework, you're going to learn a lot about your finances. So I wanted to let people know that that's there for them.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments?
Thanks. I think V just highlighted it, but when you were talking about life insurance, my question was actually also the type. So um, V, were you referencing like the universal, like what's your thoughts on the whole like universal
Yeah.
life insurance?
Yeah, my personal belief is it's scammy and people want to make money off of you. And they try to get you in that, oh, you're investing the money in the market, but you can
Yeah,
invest the money in the market the same exact way in a brokerage account.
exactly.
You don't need to do it in life insurance. Life insurance is life insurance. Investing is investing. You can invest in a brokerage, your 401k, your IRA, and then your life insurance is just in case you die, your family's going to get X amount, hopefully be able to pay off the house, bury you, be able to take care of, last expenses and make sure that, the fact that you're gone is not going to leave a gaping hole in their income from day to day. So it depends on like how much money you make, how many kids you have, how many properties you own. You have to like really do that math. And term life insurance for me is the right way to go. That's my personal opinion. So I'm not a financial advisor, but you just want to be really, really sure because 9 times out of 10, when someone's trying to sell you life insurance, they're making money off of you.
Very helpful. Thanks. Can I ask a second piggyback question?
Yeah, go
Um,
for it.
yeah. So just in terms of the trust, right? And like, putting like existing assets in like a trust, right? Um, how does that impact like, current financing? Like, does it generate any like tax implications and stuff like that if you already own something and then you're changing the ownership into like a trust?
It didn't for me.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
So, like I said, my primary residence is in a trust. The only thing is that at your county tax office, now instead of having it in your personal name, it's going to be in the name of your trust. That did not change my taxes in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
So it didn't for me in any way.
All right. That's helpful. Thank you. This is very, very helpful. Sorry I joined you, but I've actually gotten a wealth of information in just the last
Yeah.
30 minutes. So thank you.
We're hoping to share the recording. So whoever, if you missed the beginning part of it, you'll be able to catch up.
Yeah, thank you for joining. We are almost at time. Any other questions before we just wrap up?
I don't have a question, but I wanted to say that in the point that V made about envisioning your future self, I feel like I don't do that enough. I definitely save for her and prepare for her, but I don't think I put myself in her shoes very often. So I feel like that was a good reminder.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something about me. Like I've always, always, always thought about my future self. Not so much envisioning like how I look or where I'm going to be, but I've always planned for the future. Like my husband's a very day-to-day person. He only worries about today. And I'm always like, I've got a 10 to 20 year plan. Always. Like if you'd asked me 10 years ago where I was going to be, and I would have told you it's here. And I'm always on a 10 to 20 year plan. And I feel like for me, it's so normal. And for everyone else, it's not. And it's because it's really hard for us, our brains don't let us see ourselves as that older person. But if we're not thinking about her, we're not planning for her, that day is going to roll up and we're going to be caught unprepared. And nobody wants to be a little old lady struggling to be able to afford to live.
And time goes by so quickly because I'm in my 40s and
Hmm.
I forget that sometimes. I still,
That's because you look so good,
I don't
girl.
know how, thank you, but I don't know how quickly I got from 20s to 40s. And I'm
It
like,
goes
wow,
by in a blink.
it happens so quickly. So in
Hmm.
the next 20 years, we are at that, well, for me, I'll be in that retirement or pre-retirement phase. And that's not when you want to start hustling and trying to figure out your finances. So
Hmm. Yeah. And too
again,
many people think, oh, I'm going to be dead by then. Like, I would have to worry about the future for. What if you're not?
yeah,
I don't want to play that game. I don't want to gamble. I want to know for sure. And whatever, if I don't use the money, then it goes to my son. I'm perfectly happy with that.
yeah. All right, well, we're at time. Thank you again for doing this. Thank you to everybody who has joined. I know Raya just put her information in the chat. V's information she had on the screen. I don't know if you want to pop that back on real quick or put it in the chat so that everybody can get it if they didn't already. But I can also share it afterwards. So like if you didn't get a contact information, I can provide that. Um,
Please, that would be great. Thank you.
okay. I'll do that. And we talked about we did record this session so we can share that. Again, thank you all. And again, I hope we can do this again and maybe even have some success stories of, hey, that was that one thing. Like I said, from every conversation I've had with them, there's one thing that sticks with me and like follows me. Um, with Vanessa many things actually, but Raya too, even especially when it comes to like 401k and saving and investing. And she just talked about M1 and I'm like, I don't know what that is. So I'm gonna follow up and be like, hey, show me what that is. The most important thing is taking action consistently. It's not a one-time thing that you do and forget. We all just have to continue to make sure that we're doing those things. All right. Thanks again. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone and we'll talk later.
Thank you. This is great.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye bye.